Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Man Discovers. You've reached a channel where honesty is the best policy. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the SVS SB 2000 Pro, which is a sealed subwoofer. Now here's a challenge for you guys. Try your best not to scroll through this video. This is just a little experiment I'm doing. I'm trying to keep this video short and sweet. So please don't scroll through the video. Any specific questions, let me know in the comments below. Specifications. So, reading from here, 550 watt Class D sledge amplifier with discrete MOSFET design. So that's going to give you more power, lower distortion than the previous model, the SB 2000 original. Over 1500 watt peak amplification also means that this amplifier should have more headroom than other amplifiers on the market. SVS say that the SB 2000 Pro has a new high excursion driver, better than the previous generation, so they say. However, I can't find any peak or one-way measurements for the excursion, so if SVS can please clarify that, that would be great. SVS have included a new Bluetooth controlled app with this new Pro level subwoofer, which I think is a lot better than the previous SB 2000. What it means is that you now have access to the DSP via an app. You can change the parameters to your liking. The gain, the phase, all that stuff is within the app. And you don't have to go behind the subwoofer anymore and fiddle around with the controls, which I think is great. Design. Now personally, I don't really care about the design. That's up to you. Which color do you like? Do you like the size? Leave it all in the comments if you like this subwoofer and how it looks. Personally, I think it's nice looking, not the best, but you know, who cares? So, next thing we're going to talk about is measurements. Measurements are really important when it comes to choosing a subwoofer, because when it comes to reviews, people have subjective opinions, basically, on how something sounds. But a measurement, a microphone doesn't lie. What can't speak can't lie, am I right? So, here's some measurements. Now I didn't measure this subwoofer myself as I don't have the proper equipment or the room to do so. But I have found some data for you online and I'm going to go through this now. Let's analyze it together. I got this data, if you want to look yourself, from Erin's Audio Corner. I believe he has a website and a YouTube channel as well. Go check that YouTube channel out if you want to see more. I'm going to stick to the data below 40 Hertz because I think that's really what we're interested in if you're buying this sort of subwoofer, mainly for home cinema use. That's what I would imagine. CEA2010 type A, and this is the test that was run. I'm going to give you the figures in RMS, not the peaks. Okay, so the data I've got here is slightly different to Erin's. I'm really only interested in the RMS data from 2 meters away. So the measurement microphone 2 meters away. So let's go. 40 Hertz, 111 decibels. 31.5 Hertz, 115 decibels. 25 Hertz, 110 decibels. 20 Hertz, 99.5 decibels. 16 Hertz, 88.29 decibels. And at 12.5 Hertz, it failed the test, as you'd expect from a subwoofer this size. I believe that this test was taken in Erin's room, okay? So it wasn't in anechoic conditions, or it wasn't outside, for example, where you can also take these measurements with better accuracy. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the room gain into account. Now you can see from that data that around 31.5 Hertz, it gets suddenly, the subwoofer gets a 4 decibel boost over 40 Hertz. So that's where the room gain is most likely going to kick in. And judging by Erin's room gain, I've calculated, just using some basic maths, that the room is probably about 5.5 meters to 6 meters long. You can work that out using the wavelength, right? And yeah, so in feet, that's about 18 feet, 19 feet, something like that. So remember guys, these figures I've talked to you about, they include the room gain. If you have a bigger room, expect lower output perhaps in the lowest notes. And if you have a smaller room, the room gain will start kicking in earlier. Now, around 20 Hertz, you're going to see about 5 or 6 decibels less in anechoic conditions. So to put this into perspective for you right now, at 20 Hertz, right, I would expect this sub in anechoic conditions to hit 99.5 decibels. So if you have a larger room, this is not going to be the best sub for you, because I think it's not going to be able to hit that THX Ultra specification. And maybe even for medium-sized rooms, the THX Select 2 specification, it requires a minimum 105 decibels out of a subwoofer, peak to be fair, but I feel like this subwoofer is almost there, but it's not quite there at that level. Okay, it's kind of straining. Don't forget, at the highest outputs as well, you're going to get more distortion. So that's my recommendation. Another option is to get 2 of these subwoofers, and then you should gain about 6 decibels, between 3 and 6 decibels, depending on where you place the sub. If you place the sub in the same spot, you should get 6 decibels. If you place it around the room, you might only get 3. So it really depends, but 3 decibels is a lot, to be fair. I notice a lot of people, when it comes to sealed subwoofers, they always forget about distortion figures. Fair enough, sealed does have some benefits over a ported design, but below 30 Hertz, they do distort like crazy. Some people say that you can't really hear it. I disagree. I think you probably can hear it down to about 10% distortion, but these sealed subs, they tend to be distorting around 20%, 25%. Erin didn't have any distortion measurements there, so I'm just guessing here, but look at other subwoofers from SVS's range and you could tell that it's going to be about 20% distortion underneath 30 Hertz. So, you know, if you're an audiophile and you care about distortion, even though you might not be able to hear it, it will matter to you. So don't forget, guys, there are lots of compromises to be made in audio. It's just how it is, okay? If you want any specific advice tailored to your room or whatever your gear is, put it in the comments below and I'll be happy to help you. Now we are on to the part where I talk about my subjective listening experience of this subwoofer. Here's the notes that I made. I'm going to read through them to you. I don't want to waste anyone's time. Let's have a look. So I've written here, the sound offered up is mostly clean. Below 30 Hertz, things can get a bit distorted, which I think I can hear. Things also get noticeably quieter below 30 Hertz. As you'd expect, because it's a sealed sub, I've put, which means that you probably need 3 or 4 of these to match the S. So basically, if you are looking for, you've got the choice between a PB2000 Pro or an SB2000 Pro, you're probably going to need 3 to 4 of these sealed subs to match that output. So yeah, that's a lot of subwoofer right there. That's why people go ported a lot of the time. Now I've written here, I think this sub shines really between 35 and 80 Hertz, but above 80 Hertz there are some better options that you could consider to provide a more refined mid-bass. So yeah, I think perhaps something with a smaller driver diameter, something that's less geared towards output, something that's geared towards, you know, fleet-footed, you know-ness, let's say, something that's quicker. I don't like using these terms, but in some regards it is true. Like a lighter, smaller, lighter cone might not be able to cope so much with the highest output, the highest decibels, but they might be a bit more accurate and provide more finesse with the bass frequencies, and you're going to start hearing that, especially above 60 Hertz, because that's just how it is, that's just how it works. So I can explain that using music theory another time if you want. You know, I do play music, I don't know if you can see down there, I have the piano, I have the violin, the guitar, you know, so with music theory I could explain that, but not in this video. We're going to stick to the topic, right? So I have written here, I can tell you that this subwoofer is much better than the PC2000 Pro, the ported cylinder that I tested a while ago. Yeah, so check that review out if you want to have a look at that. I feel like I've said that because if you want a subwoofer that's balanced for music and movies, I would say the sealed option is going to be better, the SB2000 Pro. That would be my pick. I'd get 1 or 2 of those rather than one PC2000 Pro for my room and my setup. If you have large floor standing speakers, I would recommend you the PC2000 Pro instead, because your floor standers can probably handle a decent amount of bass anyway. Now, I also say here, if you want to go for 80% movies, sorry, 80% music, 70-80% music, I would pick the 3000 Micro instead, okay? And yes, I feel like it's just a little bit better for music than the SB2000 Pro. Remember guys, I've tested this subwoofer for numerous weeks now, and I've had the 3000 Micro probably a couple months. So yes, I'm just providing my details, the details of what I heard in my room. Let's talk about what tests I did. I always do the same sort of test so I can reference. Okay, so first of all is my Top Gun trailer, which I seem to like these days. Now I've written here the fighter jet sounded very, very dynamic and explosive, more so than the SB, no, not the SB, the 3000 Micro, sorry. There was output there that I was not getting from the 3000 Micro, and it made all the difference, is what I've written. Like the, you know, the ferociousness, whatever the word is, of the fighter jets, if I remember correctly. Number 3, overall, I also preferred the SB2000 Pro when compared to the PC2000 Pro during this trailer. I felt there wasn't so much LFE that the SB2000 Pro was left behind. Okay, although at times I felt there could have been a tad more, but the trade-off is worth it with this sort of audio. So there you go. Okay, the next thing I did was the THX trailer, the SB2000 Pro. I feel like, yeah, it started to show its weaknesses in this trailer. And yeah, I would say with this sort of trailer, you need more of a ported sub. And my go-to sub for this trailer is the XTZ1217 Edge. I think it's both more dynamic and it's better in this, especially in this trailer as well. Much more low-end output, and even the kick of the subwoofer sounds better even up high. I've given you an example here. When the ship, it's about to go light speed in the demo, and there's a bit where the insect opens its wings, I feel like there's less of an impact with the SB2000 Pro, and the audio sounds a bit top heavy, so it's out of balance. And yes, that's what I think. Obviously you could put the DSP up more and up the sub bass if you want, but do you want to add distortion to your audio? It's up to you if you want to. The next one I did, next test was Interstellar. Again, I love this test because I feel like it's very relevant. It's a lot of 20 Hertz, 30 Hertz bass there in the wormhole scene. And I feel like it's a better test than like these Edge of Tomorrow tests, if anyone's seen those, because no consumer sub can really handle that, how it's meant to. I mean, it's meant to be 112 decibels at 10 Hertz, I think, Edge of Tomorrow. So no sub is doing that, consumer. But Interstellar, I feel like, is one of the hardest scenes for a general subwoofer to pull off. And I feel like the SB2000 failed on this test. You need a ported, like I said. The XTZ sounded more realistic. And yeah, I just felt my heart racing more with the XTZ1217 Edge compared to the SB2000 Pro. A lot of you are saying, oh, that's to be expected, it's a sealed, but I'm just here to report to you who don't know. Yes, and I feel like it's important because you're missing a lot of the emotion out of that scene. It's a movie, you know, that's the point of the subwoofer. I think the sub is the most important part of the system, more important than the center channel even. I feel like the sub, if you got a good one, it makes all the difference. So yes, that is that. Moving on to music now. It says here, I felt the SB2000 Pro was okay. I wouldn't say it's my favorite subwoofer to listen to music with. It's capable, it's relatively fast, but I picked the 3000 Micro as I felt that was a bit more dynamic in the mid bass. One of the test tracks I played was the amazing piece by Snarky Puppy, and it's called Lingus. We Like It Here or something like that. Now this is a challenging piece to pull off because it's real music. It's recorded live music, okay? If you want to test how good a subwoofer is, use live music. Don't use EDM and all that stuff because you don't know what that's really meant to sound like. With live music, it's much easier to pick out the nuances within the audio that your ear will be accustomed to by being a human being. It's an acoustic instrument. You should know what these things sound like. So yes, I put here 3000 Micro, slightly superior with this sort of music. And yeah, by the way, if you haven't seen this piece before, you're missing out on a lot. It's one of the best keyboard solos of all time, especially maybe this generation that's been recorded. So you might want to watch that. Pretty amazing stuff by Corey Henry, if anyone watches him or follows him. I put here the 3000 Micro will give up some LFE effect compared to the SB2000 Pro. So it's really up to how you use it, guys. If you lean towards music, I'd say 3000 micro. Yes, but I'm going to do a more detailed comparison between the SB2000 Pro and the 3000 micro. So you might want to subscribe or something and check into that video when I do it. I've recorded them both live as well with a microphone, special microphone, so you may be able to pick out some differences yourself if you subscribe. How much better is it compared to the SB2000? I'm put this section in because a lot of you might be thinking maybe I'll just buy the old one on eBay and save some money, but how much better is that Pro than the SB2000? So let me say what I've written here. I said here I am hard pressed to find the difference between the two subwoofers because the last time I heard it was 3,000 years ago. No, I'm not Jesus. No, that's 2,000 years ago. Anyway, the last time I heard it was 3 years ago. And I would say the main differences for me were the new SVS app with the DSP control, and the blue light has been taken. There's an annoying blue LED light on the old SB2000 and it's been taken off now. And yeah, I think that's way better. Yippee. You know, thank God they've actually got rid of that because that was very, very annoying. I don't think you could turn it off as well. I'm not sure. I didn't have that sub for very long. But yeah, other than that, I think almost the same. So that's it. I promised to keep it short and sweet. I feel like I've mostly delivered. I've got a lot of information in here. Remember, I have a lot more coming out, more subwoofer videos, other audio related videos as well coming. You know, I try to be as honest as I can. I try to give you my real observations where I made notes on the day. So yeah, and also sometimes I record the stuff. If you feel like you can hear the slight differences in the music or whatever, I think you can hear some differences in dynamics through a microphone. You can hear the difference between a singer, two singers, can't you? So you can hear some differences if you want to grab a pair of headphones. But yeah, that's all I have to say. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. By the way, did you like the new room? Because I put some effort into it. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Put it in the comments. Bye-bye.
Now you subscribe or I smash you.